What's the best ever revolver cartridge? I'm not talking about something chambered in a bazooka-length revolver filled with a bipod like I saw at SHOT Show this year. The sort of revolvers I'm talking about are ordinary-sized ones you might have in a holster or in a drawer by the bed at home. Here's a roundup of the best revolver cartridges for defense applications. We're going to stick with popular rounds chambered by major makers. The .38 Special has been fulfilling a defensive and law enforcement role for longer than any of us have been alive, and the reasons for choosing it are legion. It's sufficiently powerful, its recoil can be managed by anyone. Basically, every firm that makes a double-action revolver makes one in .38 Special in some configuration, and every ammo maker offers a .38 load. If you think it's ballistics to anemic and you have a revolver that'll handle, you can step up to plus P. Whether your aim is a snubby for concealed carry or a mid-size wheel gun for home defense, it's almost impossible to go wrong with the .38. The Gold Dot Short Barrel Personal Protection .38 Special Plus P is the leading bullet in its category, but the Winchester Defender is another excellent option. It also uses a 130-grain jacketed hollow point bullet and a Plus P load, and has earned a solid reputation as a reliable choice in police backup guns around the country. This bullet is intelligently designed and consistently delivers strong performance, making it a choice I would definitely use in my own firearms. I think it'd be hard to argue against the case that the .357 Magnum is the most versatile defensive cartridge we have. Sure, in lightweight, short-barreled guns, it lives up to its Magnum moniker and can be really snappy. In my Ruger Red Hawk, an all-steel .357 recoil is tolerable, although it's not like I can shoot magnums through it all day. But a super lightweight alloy frame gun of the same size? I'd rather pass. However, the beauty of the .357 Magnum is it's available in many barrel lengths and constructions. And with a bit of experience, most people can handle at least the longer, heavier guns with .357 loads. I don't buy into the idea of buying a .357, practicing with .38s, and then keeping the gun loaded with .357s for defensive use. However, I know it's a thing, and the versatility of the chambering allows you to do it. Regardless, it's this versatility that makes the .357 Magnum such an excellent choice. Speer makes its excellent 135-grain Gold Dot GDHP in .357, and that'd be my pick for its ability to maintain structural integrity in the target. Hornady also loads a 135-grain Flex Lock bullet in its critical duty line, which should also perform well. Created in 1950 by Elmer Keith and popularized by Dirty Harry and the Smith & Wesson Model 29 decades later, the .44 Magnum cartridge is a potent hunting and self-defense caliber. Just beware, it's got the kick of a mule. Gun choices aren't huge, but when you factor in the ability to shoot .44 specials in a .44 Magnum revolver, that number jumps considerably. However, if you have the option, it's typically better to pick up a revolver chambered in .44 Magnum instead, as it gives you more flexibility ammunition-wise. Doing so leaves you with a gun that's heavier than it needs to be. But on the plus side, .44 specials are real pussycats when fired out of most .44 Magnums. Load options have grown over the years, and you can find defensive-specific options from Hornady, SIG, Speer, and more. There's zero question that a direct hit with a .44 Magnum will neutralize a threat quickly. The problem is the recoil. In the hands of an average shooter, this ferocious round produces quite a lot of kick. Recoil will jerk the barrel of the revolver upward, which means it'll take longer to restore your aim on the target. In other words, you really don't want to miss a threat with the .44 Magnum. It can give your opponent too much time to retaliate. Now it's time to point out what I do think is the very best all-around revolver cartridge. Are you ready? It's the .45 ACP. That's right, the .45 automatic Colt pistol is the very best ever round for ordinary everyday revolvers. Its case capacity is correct for its bullet weight and ballistics, with no tiny charges of powder floating around in a huge case meant originally for black powder. It was the first revolver cartridge used in speed loaders, otherwise known as half-moon clips, and now there are full-moon clips too. And it's capable of fine accuracy from some guns. It's one of the easiest and most versatile cartridges for reloaders, and it has a stepbrother identical except for having a rim on the case, if that trips your trigger instead of fiddling with clips. Shooters of .45 ACP revolvers have available all the vast array of that caliber's factory ammo, plus the few .45 auto rim loads still around. But here's the tip. CCI's 45 ACP shot shells warned, do not fire in revolvers. Unless you want to shoot black powder or have a big case of nostalgia, the 45 ACP will serve you best. Among the more controversial types of revolver loads are the 410 shotgun shells. The history of 410 bore-chambered revolvers is fairly diverse, with more than 30 years of production to consider. Their rifled barrels perform best with shot shells when fired at contact to 7-yard distances, depending on the ammunition used. For dispatching pests and poisonous snakes at up-close and personal distances, one of these guns loaded with birdshot's hard to beat. I've also heard and read personal accounts of buckshot loads fired from these handguns getting the job done in defending against threats of the two-legged variety. Specifically designed for 410 revolvers like the Taurus Judge and Smith & Wesson Governor, the Hornady Critical Defense is arguably one of the best defensive loads for 410 firearms. It delivers effective shot patterns that reliably place all projectiles on a man-sized target at a distance of 7 yards. The Critical Defense 410 uses a unique triple defense projectile column consisting of two 35 caliber round balls topped with a non-jacketed FTX slug. This configuration achieves an impressive velocity of 750 feet per second, offering robust stopping power in defensive situations. Until relatively recently, the legendary .45 Colt round had been largely the province of cowboy action shooters. Then the Taurus Judge arrived on the scene. This double-action .45 Colt 410 shot-shell revolver sparked a resurgence and a great old round. In addition to the Judge, today you have the Smith & Wesson Governor, Smith & Wesson Model 25, and Ruger Red Hawk. These are all larger guns, and in them, the good old Colt's a cinch to manage and still as effective as it's been since the late 1800s. My favorite bullet is Lee's 200-grain radiused flat-nosed bullet. Loaded over 6 grains of .231, it goes around 760 feet per second with hardly any recoil. Although not traditionally considered a self-defense caliber, the .22 LR has gained popularity among some for its low recoil and ease of use. While it lacks the stopping power of larger calibers, the .22 LR can still be effective in close-quarters self-defense situations, especially when shot placement is precise. Additionally, the affordability and availability of .22 LR ammunition makes it an attractive option for individuals looking to practice and train frequently without breaking the bank. CCI Standard Velocity is one of my favorite all-around loads in terms of price and reliability. The .44 Special cartridge is the very picture of an on-again, off-again round. There are times when everyone seems to rediscover this old cartridge, and ammunition suddenly becomes widely available, only to disappear as people move on to something else. I've watched this same sequence replay itself several times over the years. The technical problem with this load is the same as faced by the .38 Special: lack of bullets that expand reliably and penetrate sufficiently. In addition, there are very few defensive shootings on record with this caliber, which further complicates matters. Today, the .44 Special seems to be on again, and there are several loads worth considering. My original recommendation, based on talking with people who shoot the .44 Special for hunting, is still available: the 200-grain Winchester Silvertip. This round is still the top pick in a relatively narrow field, followed by the 200-grain Spear Gold Dot and the newer Hornady 165-grain Critical Defense.